Welcome to the Warframe Weapon Encyclopedia, where today we're going to check out the Grenier Flechette Launcher Acrid. The blueprint for the Acrid can be acquired from the Infested or the Biolab in your dojo, and you're going to need some credits, a few mutagen mass, some salvage, a few nanospores, and one format to build it. The Acrid has perhaps the smallest stat screen with the shortest description in the entire game, and it comes with fairly low crit stats, decent status stats, and it does pure toxin damage. Even though the Acrid only sports a 10% status chance, it has a guaranteed status proc on its darts, which will deal damage 9 times over 9 seconds. This will proc in addition to any other element you put on the weapon, though the additional elements will not have a guaranteed proc. They will be determined by the status chance. And other than that, the Acrid also has no recoil whatsoever, and it has its own weapon-specific augment called Toxic Sequence, which you can get by being the rank of Senior Executive with the Parent Sequence for 25,000 standing, or you can buy it from other players. This augment will provide you with 200% status duration on all the status inflicted with the Acrid, and it also gives you the Sequence effect, which once you gather enough affinity will cause a 25-meter wide explosion that does 1000 radiation damage and procs radiation, and it recovers 25% of your maximum shields and increases your base shields by 50% for 30 seconds. When it comes to the build, there are a few things you can do here. You can go for raw damage, which is going to perform better in lower levels because you're going to have more damage up front, but it's going to fall off much faster. You can go for status, utilizing either viral and heat or corrosive and heat in combination with the guaranteed toxin proc. But what I've been actually favoring recently is going for a more shotgunny approach with Magnum Force, which completely wrecks the accuracy and makes the weapon very inaccurate, but it gives you a lot of base damage, which then multiplies the damage over time, which in combination with the dual stat mods and prime heated charge is actually fairly strong. Using Magnum Force and going for the more shotgunny approach is a double-edged sword though, so please bear that in mind because it's going to make it much harder to hit enemies at medium to long range, and it's going to make it almost impossible to consistently hit headshots. So while overall it's actually going to give you less damage because of the lack of consistent headshots, I found it much more usable in day-to-day play. Also, when it comes to corrosive versus viral in combination with the heat and toxin, I find them fairly comparable with not too much of a difference between them, with corrosive performing better versus lower level enemies and viral performing better versus higher level enemies. Now, while I'm personally not a big fan of the Toxic Sequence augment, it is the best way to get the most damage out of the weapon, and if you want to use it, I would simply take out Magnum Force in the build I showcase and I would put it there. So all in all, the weapon can be described as different but definitely not strong. It can stack a lot of damage over time, especially if you're using the Toxic Sequence augment, but it's just not quite as strong as some of the other weapons in the game. So I would recommend you check it out if you find the idea of the weapon interesting. And that's pretty much it. So I thank you very much for watching as always, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video and it was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.